guess one thing that like always pops into my mind, like even when I started with Guadalupe, is that the
Mhm.
technology is so new and not a lot of people know about it. That when you do
Mhm.
meet someone else in who's building the Hyperloop in whatever other space that they're building it, there's always like a background story on why they got into the technology. So like Chris, like why are you building Hyperloops in Canada? Like what's the motivation behind that?
So me personally, how I kind of got all looped into this is I was in a course that required you to join a club for part of the marks of the course. And so I remember somebody from the University of Waterloo's Hyperloop design team coming into class and presenting that they were recruiting members. And at that time, Hyperloop was very heavily associated with Elon Musk. And I had just written a paper for a class on Elon Musk. So I thought, wow, that's cool. Let's Elon Musk, let's go. And so I joined. And at that time, there wasn't as many members as there is today. So it was very chill. There wasn't really much of an interview. I just kind of showed up and you were on the team, and everybody was super nice. It was really great. And so I started off on the business team of Waterloop. And then the semester after that, I became business lead. And I was business lead for about 2 years, I think. And then up came the opportunity to be a part of the Canadian Hyperloop conference. And so I kind of took that and became the events lead. And then this year, I am the director. So that's kind of my Hyperloop journey, I would say, up until this date.
Yeah, that's super cool. That's super cool that like there's been that transition. I guess Waterloo did a good job of stimulating the interest for people to like,
Yeah.
join the organization.
For
Um,
sure. I think I just saw an opportunity where I could join a club and really gain a lot of valuable skills. I personally wasn't in the co-op stream at the University of Waterloo, so I feel like I was able to gain all those skills that you gain during your co-op through this club experience instead. And it's almost kind of benefited me more because I've been able to stay on for such a long amount of time. I think this is my third year now being a part of Hyperloop clubs. And so that is longer than any co-op that you would have, right? So you're able to build on your skills that much more, I feel. Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, there
Okay.
you go.
Sorry. I actually had like kind of a follow-up question, but
Sure.
in terms of like you said you were always involved in like the business side, did you ever have any chances or opportunities to work on the more engineering side of any of the clubs you've worked with? And what was that experience like?
Actually, yeah, a little bit. So I would say, of course, being on a Hyperloop related clubs, you do hear about the technology often. So I've definitely gained a little bit of knowledge about the technology and am able to give a brief overview of what it actually is. I
Hmm.
don't know all the little nitty gritty bits because that's a little bit out of my range of knowledge. But it is really cool to learn, and I'm definitely excited to learn more as I go along. As far as actual skills, somebody did teach me how to solder one time. So I was kind of fun.
Mm.
Or no, it wasn't called soldering. It was something like that. It's like you strip the wire and then put them together. I don't know what it's called. It's some electrical thing, but I did do that. It was very hard. I didn't do a very good job, but it was cool. It was cool to learn.
Yeah, for sure. The
Mhm.
experience is what matters.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun. It was fun.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure.
so when building the organization, I mean, I joined Guad a while back when we were like, still like a really, really small org.
Yeah.
And since then we've scaled a lot and there's been a lot of challenges. So it's like been the number one challenge in scaling Canadian Hyperloop. Like are there any like unique things that y'all had to overcome?
Yeah, I would say in terms of scaling up, Waterloop did kind of go through the same thing, but we had one, I want to say it was maybe a year and a half ago ish. We had just the biggest recruitment ever, and we were in every single University of Waterloo Facebook group and Discord, like telling everybody to apply. So I think it was just we increased our reach a lot, I would say. And even I kind of did the same thing this year for Canadian Hyperloop Conference as well. We were needing some more members. So I reached out to like literally every academic advisor in Canada. I tried my best to reach out to all of them and just sent them an email saying, hey, can you send this email introducing CHC and that we're recruiting to all the students that you advise. And we got a lot of hits. So that was awesome. And the team's really grown a lot. I've been really happy with our growth this year.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I guess moving on, what would be your dream Hyperloop route to be built or see built in Canada?
Well, I know they kind of have the one in Alberta going on from Calgary to Edmonton, but that's really far for me. So I know they've in that route challenge back in the day that Virgin Hyperloop put out, Toronto to Montreal was one of the ones that did very well. So I feel like that would be cool, close to me. Montreal's great. I've been there a lot for a bunch of class trips, French trips in like grade 11 and 12. We would
Yeah.
always go to Montreal. See the same thing over and over, but it was still fun. And yeah, that'd be cool to have that, definitely.
Yeah, of course.
I guess like, jumping off from that and like on a tangent,
Yeah.
why do you think the average Canadian should care about Hyperloops being built in Canada? Because
Ooh.
I mean, like probably everyone has a car that has, an engine, good four wheels, gas that's more or less inexpensive, and it can take you anywhere you want. Why do we
Yeah.
need to spend, Canadian taxpayer dollars on this new transportation system that might only be for like elitists or in this like one specific route?
Great question. Yeah, I think that's something that people kind of can't get their mind around with when it comes to the Hyperloop concept, because really the main thing that's holding people back is the cost. It does cost a lot of money, but I think there's going to be a huge cost to any step up in the innovation process. Like if you probably go back in the day to like building a car or the train or an airplane, people were like, wow, that's crazy expensive, that'll never work. But it did. And I think Hyperloop is just the next innovation in transportation. It's essentially like the next iteration up from a high-speed rail. And I think you mentioned only the elitists, so meaning that only people like of privilege will be able to ride the Hyperloop. Personally, if that was the goal of Hyperloop, that is just not a project that I would want to be a part of. I want to be a part of something that makes the world accessible to everybody, and the fact that you would be able to live in Toronto but work in Montreal because it's only a 30-minute Hyperloop ride is amazing. And I think Hyperloop is something, and I hope it stays something that will be accessible to all people. I think in terms of why Canadians should care, they should care, one, because hoping that it's accessible to all people. Two, I think they should care because everybody complains about taking a long time to get somewhere. Like I personally always complain about like walking to the gym. It sucks. It's annoying. I just want to like get there and do my workout, me living in Waterloo, but going home to Toronto to see my family, I have to spend 2 hours on a bus. That sucks, right? So I feel like the travel time in between where we want to get to and where we are is kind of what's holding a lot of people back. And I think Hyperloop could be a really good fix for that, especially for city to city travel. It's going to be amazing. It's going to fix your problems. You could work in a different city than you live in. You could date someone in a different city. You can the sky's the limit, I feel. And also I think that really humans won't be happy until we learn how to teleport from one place to another, right? The innovation won't stop. We're just too impatient. And even when we do figure out how to teleport, we're probably going to want to figure out how to teleport faster. So I feel like for me, Hyperloop is the next logical stepping point in the transportation industry.
Yeah, no, of course. And like because you mentioned like accessibility and everything, if transportation was so accessible and if Hyperloop could take you to any destination, where would you want to go? Anywhere in the world?
Ooh, okay. I have actually two of my friends recently moved to Australia for med school, and I'm planning on visiting them in January. But I mean, why not take a Hyperloop? That's cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, anywhere in the world. I've kind of caught the travel bug recently. I'm not a very well-traveled person. I've literally been to like Florida and Cuba when I was, like younger.
hmm
And so I'm really excited to go. I'm actually planning on going to European Hyperloop Week in July,
Yeah.
and then going to England after to see one of my friends. So how convenient would that be? A
I
little Hyperloop
know.
from Scotland to England. Something like that would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait for the day because like for me and Zoya, we're both from the Dallas area, which is a
Oh
like a
yeah.
three and a half hour bus ride or train ride away, and it's
Yeah.
always such a pain in the butt to go,
Yeah.
back and forth all the time. So
Totally.
we also can't wait for the
Yeah.
Hyperloop to be built
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
in that point. Um,
Hmm.
so one big thing that for example, like when we were recruiting, a lot of kids would ask me like, what's the feasibility of the technology? Like we could potentially be contributing to um a new system that might not even happen. So what are some like companies or concepts out there like in the like industry sector that are currently working on building hyperloops for the masses with full engineers, everything's
Yeah.
well funded. What do you think are the most feasible companies or projects right now?
So I would say there is 4 big ones that we should watch out for. The first, and I would say most notable, is Transpod. So the Hyperloop company from Canada, just because they do have that good feasibility study of the route from Edmonton to Calgary in Alberta under their belt. And they've also claimed that they're going to start construction this year. They have posted a lot about it and have, been in talks with the government of Alberta. They actually have things going on and things like on paper that people can actually see that this project is progressing. So that's definitely one to watch for. The second I would say is Hyperloop in the Netherlands. They just really love Hyperloop over there in the Netherlands too. They, if you look at the Hyperloop teams from the Netherlands, they have a lot more funding than teams from Canada or the US would have, and it shows because they have produced some very very good pods and very very impressive stuff. And so I think they're definitely one to watch for as well. The next 2 are from the United States. There is Hyperloop TT, and then there is actually, so they were called Virgin Hyperloop, but they're rebranding back to Hyperloop One. So they started out as Hyperloop One, then they moved to Virgin once Richard Branson bought a major stake in the company. And since then, I guess I'm not quite sure all the ins and outs of that partnership, but they're moving back to Hyperloop One. So those are definitely ones to watch for. I think, Hyperloop One was the first Hyperloop company ever created. And so they definitely had a lot of attention around them and a lot of hype. But since the rebrand of Hyperloop One, they have taken down all the proposed routes that they had on their website. So I'm interested to see what they will do in the next couple years. Hyperloop TT's been really in and amongst like creating a lot of partnerships for themselves. Like they have even NFTs out, which is super cool, and they're actually really amazing to look at. If you Google Hyperloop TT NFT, they're like super beautiful pictures. So I think they have some really promising partnerships, is what I would say as well. But I would say definitely watch out for those 4 for sure. And there's a couple others that are working on different things Hyperloop related. There's one company called Navomo that's working on transitioning like train infrastructure to be used for high speed transportation. So that's kind of cool. And also that's, quite in the nature of sustainability because we're reusing something that we already have, which is great. And there's another company called SwissPod. There's another one out of India called Quintrans. So there's a couple that have popped up around the world. So I'm excited to see who stays and who goes. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Um, I guess moving on, if you could have any public figure or celebrity with you, as a passenger on the Hyperloop, who would it be?
That's a good one. I don't know. That's so hard. uh, my parents would love if I was like Jesus, but no. So, who do I really like? I don't know. I'm not much of a fangirl to be. Oh, actually, I just thought of mine. Zac Efron. Zac Efron
Oh,
is my favorite
uh-huh.
because I feel like if I had to describe my childhood, it would be High School Musical, those 3 words. And then, of course, he comes out with this down to earth documentary series about sustainability, which is another one of my passions. So I love that as well.
Mhm.
So definitely Zac Efron. Final
Nice.
answer.
That is a
There we
very good
I
answer.
don't know why that took so long to come to my head. I feel embarrassed. That story is accurate.
I know for me, I would definitely want Ryan Reynolds on the pod because I feel like him and Zac Efron would, make the best comedic duo. Make
Yeah.
that quick trip seem even faster. Um,
Yeah.
both are extremely, extremely funny people. Um,
Yeah. It would be good.
so I know one project in the UAE is called The Line. It's like a new city concept where the government is building like this huge new
Yes.
urban development project in a straight line, and it's supposed to be connected with the Hyperloop in the middle. And the idea is that
Yeah.
since the city is in the line, it's easy access to the outdoors, so you don't have to like go through an urban jungle. You can distribute the city in ways that we previously haven't really imagined cities to be, besides like the nuclear central business district and then outlying radius towards the suburbs and rural communities. So how do you think that the Hyperloop will, I mean, it's already revolutionizing the line, but how do you think it will revolutionize urban development in the future?
I think we will just see cities a lot more spread out, which realistically is a lot better for the environment. Like the thing is with the line limits the urban sprawl, right? Because it's building up instead of out. And I think that's the direction that we really need to move in. It'll, create a lot less strain on the environment. And I think it could really do a lot of amazing things. And it's actually funny that you bring this up because I was talking about this yesterday with my friend. We were talking about all the potential impacts it could create. So that is really cool. It's a really amazing idea for sure. I'm
Would you
excited to see
move?
it.
Would you move to the line?
Ooh, maybe. But you know what the thing is, like, as global warming increases, like that area is gonna get hit super hard. So in the highest heat of the summer, they're gonna have to live in 24/7 air conditioning, which is gonna, cost a lot of energy. So I don't know that I would ever live there. Just for, I would say, practicality's sake. Like my life is here and in Canada. I don't think I could
Oh,
rationalize moving over all the way. Maybe I would definitely love to take a trip though. Sounds so cool for sure.
come to Texas during the summer. We're like
I
always
actually
the
always
AC
wanted
is
to
always.
come to Texas.
We're like the mini Emirates. Always AC. If you don't have AC, you will
Oh
not survive
boy,
our summers.
really?
Yeah.
Jeez, that's crazy. I would love to come to Texas though. I want to come visit.
It's a nice place to visit, I guess, if you like hot summers.
I don't know. I
Um,
would love to live somewhere like we're somewhere in the world that's kind of just like spring, fall weather all year round. That would be
California.
California.
I used to live there and it's so perfect all year
Wow.
long.
Okay.
It's great.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Mm.
What's the biggest challenge you think that's facing the Hyperloop industry right now?
Funding for sure. Speaking from a team's perspective and a company's perspective. I think definitely funding. And then once you move up to the company level, you have the added stress of just in general, people not understanding what you're doing or believing in the vision. So they, again, aren't able to give you funding. And that also makes it a lot harder for governments to be willing to, try out your idea and give you land or space to start construction on your project or whatever you're doing. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's that whole, adoption rate curve of the early adopters and the late adopters. So we're in the early stages still. I'm sure there's many more people who are going to adopt the concept to come.
Yeah.
I think too, even just the average person does not know what Hyperloop is. Like people ask me what I'm up to or what I'm doing in my spare time, and I talk about my club, and they're like, "Oh, what's Hyperloop? I've never heard of that ever." And so I think it's just something that'll come with time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll definitely take a lot of time as of how things are now, but hopefully soon.
So I guess a little bit more like of a personal question. Where do
Sure.
you personally, after graduation, see yourself in like, I don't know, like 10 or 15 years? Do you still think you'll be working in the Hyperloop space, or do you think you'll go into a more immediate like sustainability field, or maybe you have something like else I don't even No.
Yeah, I really don't know. I feel like the world is just my oyster. I'm just gonna kind of go wherever the wind takes me. I'm very open right now. I actually graduate in April.
Ooh.
So, but I'm not gonna start working right away. I want to travel a little bit and just take some time to myself to, make good habits and make sure I'm ready to enter the workforce and that I don't spend all my time and attention on the work and like forget that I have to focus on, working out and eating clean and stuff like that. So that's important to me as well.
Mhm.
And I would love to definitely stay in something that involves sustainability and the environment because I'm very passionate about that. So Hyperloop is great. I've obviously learned a lot about it throughout my years being on the club. So it'd be super cool to work for a Hyperloop company or something like that. I also have a lot of experience with planning events because of clubs and also getting funding. So I feel like those are kind of three of my strengths and definitely areas that I would like to work in. So I think we'll just kind of see where that takes me. But at this point, I'm very open to anything.
That was a very good answer, I guess. And good luck for the future too. And yeah, I hope everything works out well and you get to work on something you're passionate about. Um, so I guess can you give us any sneak peeks of any upcoming like Hyperloop related projects or events that you're working on?
Yeah, so as you guys have probably heard, Canadian Hyperloop Conference 2023 is
Mhm.
going to be May 26th to 28th. So we're really excited to have, I believe we have 12, 11, 12 teams coming this year, which is more than last year. So that's really awesome. We've really broadened our scope with the teams that we're reaching out to, and we're going to have teams there from 5 different countries, which is amazing. So we are still definitely in the works of planning the conference and who the workshop host speakers will be, things like that. But we're all really excited. We do have a very special announcement that we will announce at the end of the conference that we're all very excited about. So I can't give you guys too much info on that yet. You're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, but it's gonna be a great conference. I'm very excited to be a part of it for the second year in a row.
Yeah, no, we're excited too. Can't wait.
Yeah, awesome.
Um, so whenever I'm talking to like my parents or like random people in my neighborhood, whenever I go home, they like sometimes ask me like, "What do you do at UT?"
Yeah.
And I'll try to tell them a little bit about my experiences building the pod or working on Quad, try to get them interested in the technology as well. And but sometimes also run into like random people that like are super interested in the topic and they
Yeah.
just pop out of nowhere. So it's been like the most interesting run-in to a Hyperloop enthusiast in the past.
Hmm. I feel like there's a lot of different ones. Like I think I just sometimes find myself in conversations from people at work or with people that I meet just like through friends or something like that. And it just kind of like spirals into them like asking all these different questions about Hyperloop, which sometimes I don't even know the answer to, but I do try to do my best. But I would say I had a really good conversation with this girl that I used to work with one time, and she was kind of asking me all these hypotheticals about like, what if this happened with Hyperloop? What if that happened with Hyperloop? And it was actually really cool because I kind of got to think about, oh, what actually would happen? Because
Mhm.
there's not a lot of information online about Hyperloop for all these scenarios. Like, you could probably find a tornado protocol for the whole entire like Toronto transit system, right? And what that would look like. But for Hyperloop, that doesn't exist. So what would happen? You know? So it kind of opened up my eyes a little bit and allowed me to think of some of the potential downfalls and how we could kind of overcome those. So that was cool, I would say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like sometimes talking to people really opens your eyes up to so many more
Yeah.
perspectives that you wouldn't even think of
Yeah.
otherwise. And like a lot of times when I also talk about like Hyperloop with like my friends or people I know, it's just like sometimes there's just all these like I don't know, like what ifs and like
Yeah.
misconceptions. But what do you think is like one of the biggest misconceptions about like Hyperloop, and like how people perceive it as?
I think people are very scared at the speed that we're going to be moving. And they're like, well, what if, I know I've seen like comments before on an Instagram post, like, what if a hole gets poked in the vacuum tube? What's going to happen then? Well, not much. Like the vacuum tube would just like depressurize and you would just move slower. Like nothing's gonna blow up or no one's gonna die. It's not gonna be the end of the world. The team would just have to come out and fix it. So I think also people, once it was associated with Elon Musk, there's a lot of haters on Elon Musk. So they would kind of come from the idea saying like, oh, it's never gonna happen, it's too expensive, blah blah blah. But I really think those people are just kind of narrow-minded, because if you don't think that's going to happen, what's the alternative? And I honestly believe that if Hyperloop isn't going to happen, then something else better will happen. So I think it just depends. Depends on the person. You know, there's so many internet haters who are just sitting in their basement, like wanting to ruin someone's day because they're feeling sad about themselves. So whatever. It doesn't really matter. I feel like they don't really have the knowledge or the experience to be able to even form a proper opinion. So
Yeah, no, I agree.
Sure. So we're running out of time here for a little bit, but as a closing question, I want to make it a little bit more fun. And is there like any books or movies or like just fun events that you're looking forward to, or read or in the past or whatever you're super excited about, just to like take your time off of work?
Okay, so this is like fun stuff, like not
fun stuff. No work.
Oh, fun stuff, no work. It's my friend's birthday this weekend, so I'm excited about that. I don't know if that's what you meant, or if you meant something more. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that. I have my family friend is getting married in about a month, so that's exciting.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, actually I have three weddings to go to actually this spring and summer. So
that's so fun.
Yeah, I get to be a bridesmaid in one of them, so that's exciting too.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I love doing a couple summers ago, I had a bunch of weddings to go to as well. And it was so fun to do like all the bachelorette party and all the bridal showers. So it was a good time. I love weddings. I don't think I want my own wedding because that's like too much pressure for me. I can't picture myself saying like emotional things in front of people about, so I like going though. I love attending. It's super fun.
Thanks so much for coming on the podcast, Krista. We love talking to you.
Yes.
And we're super excited to see where Canadian Hyperloop goes in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you guys at the conference because I know Guadalupe's bringing a couple people.
Yeah.
Well,
hopefully they pick us to go fly down to Canada.
Oh, you picked?
We have to be picked.
I'll email Trevor and I'll say these two are in. They have to be there.
Please do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time,
though.
No
problem.
Have a nice day.
So much, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.